So I'm not really sure what I should be talking about or what I should talk about. But let's just go with it, you know. I need to clean my room. It's a little dirty. I'm sure you noticed a little bit. Actually, there's one thing that I posted on my story, and it was about the moon and also the sun. I talked about how, well, really, I read it at first initially, and then I talked about the fact that we look at the same sun and the same moon that all the most renowned people that ever existed, the one that changed history, the one that conquered the world, the one that left a legacy that still remembered to this very day, they all, the prophets, everyone, they all looked at the same moon. And that's so humbling to think about. Literally 1,000 years ago, or however many years ago, they looked up, just as we do now, and stared at the moon. Obviously, different times, different situations, different background, but one thing's the same: we all looked over there. That's so amazing. That's awesome. And I know that it's a rough thing to say that these people were amazing people, because everyone hates someone. No matter how good they might be, there's someone's gonna hate them. And I'm not saying that these people were good, but they conquer so much for their own kind and own species. I say species, but their own culture. They conquered for their society, and really it was all selfish to begin with, but it was still a vast amount of accomplishments within the short period of time that they were here. So, and if you're wondering, I'm probably gonna be the one watching this video. Why I am making this video is because I want to look back. I want to start the process. I want to get better at projecting my voice. I want to get better at my visual dialogue. That's why I'm doing this. I'm like, this is kind of weird to me doing this stuff, right? But I'm usually very to myself. I don't consider myself to be the best spokesperson, not yet at least. But I know it's possible to be that, So, and God willing, if I keep at it, really hone this skill, I think it's gonna change my life. It's one of the things that any person, any influential person that lives today, or anyone that we look out in this world today, that the ones that are able to communicate, the ones that are able to articulate what they want to say and what they want to portray, what type of image they paint with their words. It's a very powerful tool. very powerful. So why not get better at it? The mind and the mouth is perhaps, and we know this, we heard it before, it's the most underrated, the most potential driving skill slash weapon tool to hone, you know? It doesn't matter if you're introverted, doesn't matter if you fucking can't talk for shit. Demosthenes, I'm not sure if I said his name right, but Demosthenes, he's also an ancient speech guy. Let's just call it that. But very fascinating because he had a stutter. I don't know if he was born with it, but he had everything going against him, especially when it comes to this dialogue. You know, he would stutter. I'm pretty sure there was a whole bunch of other things, like he wouldn't be able to speak in front of crowds. These are all learned skills. We're not born out the womb wanting to talk to a crowd of people. It's actually considered one of the most feared activity, or fearful fear, let's just call it that, that most humans have. It's the attention, everyone's looking at you, you feel the judgment of everyone, and it's easier said than done, but fuck their judgment, right? Why does anyone else's judgment matters besides God and your own, you know? And we do tend to be very self-critical, so it's not always good to be judging yourself, because as much as I've changed in the last 5 years, physically and mentally, you would think I'd be proud of myself, and to a degree I am. It's just not in the forefront of my mind. I have to constantly remind myself that I have accomplished. I am worthy of love. I am worthy of self-imposed confidence because of what I've achieved. I am proud because, why not? You should be proud. Especially for the simple fact that you sit there and you're doing something about your situation. And this is, I guess, me doing that. So I am proud of myself. But it's just so easy to get lost. You have to constantly bring yourself back to this, the positivity, because especially if you're not surrounded around the right people, they're gonna constantly remind you how little you're doing, or belittle you because it's just part of the culture, I guess. If you're wondering what I am staring at, I am staring at the moon. That's why I'm looking up there. And as I've mentioned, the whole purpose of this video is to get better at articulating in my conversation skills, hone them, and use them to take over. And it'll happen gradually. I'm just starting. Who knows where I'll be? But long as you wake up to live another day, I believe God is pleased with you. And God believes that you have the potential to keep going, to change, to do something different. And it's almost to live out your purpose. And it's almost disrespectful to God Himself and to yourself and your lineage for not doing anything, for not making the brave choice. And it's easy for me to say that because, it's comforting. It's a comforting thought. However, to lead by example is it's a different conversation. And if I was to truly analyze, have I been really making the brave choice, I would say not as much as I should be, or should have, or could be. I believe it's in me to make that choice, and I will make them. But these are some of the hardest choices that you have to make. The brave choice. It's what literally puts a dent in history. It's literally what could change everything, And to live in fear is to not live at all. I feel like I've lived in fear for far too long now. And it's time. And by me doing this, that's a small step. Not a drastic one. It's not like I'm fucking, pardon my language. It's not like it's my fucking job. I don't know what I meant by that. It's not like I'm going to war in the medieval times, not knowing if I'm gonna come back. It's not like that. But bravery is achieved through small actions. And if I'm to be honest, I've been wanting to do content creation since I was like 15. I'm 25 right now. And there comes a time where you just gotta say, this is it. You have to make a choice. You have to move the ball. And a lot has happened over the 10 years, but it's not documented like I wanted, Not that it really matters, but at the same time it does. But then it doesn't at the same time, right? Because the past is the past, so what can you change? What can you do? In that sense, it doesn't matter. But the fact you never started, that also matters, because if that was always to be aligned with your goal of who you were trying to become and you weren't doing it, then what were you doing? What were you doing, Ahmed? What were you doing? And really, I don't think none of us know what we're doing. We're just kind of winging it, you know? And I suppose in life, that's just kind of how it goes, you know? You end up doing a job that you never thought you saw yourself doing. You're in a situation in your current reality that you didn't know you were going to go through or be in. After the fact, no matter how terrible your situation may be, it's such a beautiful and humbling thought that there is always something that you can be grateful for. I know that it's hard to come up with those things, and I can't really be talking about that, what's hard, because there's some people that have it really bad out there, you know? And they're happy, they're grateful. It's not to say that just because they're happy and grateful or that they give their life to God, that their life isn't hard. But I feel like they have this sense of peace to a degree, you know. But who knows? Thank God you know, I've never been in a really terrible situation where, you know, you don't know what's gonna happen. But all of this varies person to person, you know. In America, typically the homeless person, and this might be controversial to say, but they don't have it nearly as bad as some of these people in other countries do. I'm not saying that they're less deserving. I'm not saying that they're any less significant as far as finding a solution for, even though that's something that they should be wanting to do for themselves as well. You know, the people I've seen in other countries, they actually have it really bad. They're like, yeah, it's difficult to even describe what they go through. But you know, you have to feel for these people. You have to feel for each other in general. Because life is energy. You ever notice that whenever you're around someone with a low energy or someone with a high energy, that it kind of just rubs off on you, and then you feel this certain type of way all of a sudden, and you don't even know why. Nothing really happened, but you still feel this irritation. You're like, what the fuck? You're pissed off for no reason. You know? It's real. It's definitely real. Well, been talking for 20 minutes. Wow. Well, that was a rant. Thank you for listening. If you even listened, or even if I posted this for it to be listened. I know that I will be listening to it, so, because I need to analyze and get better, since that's the goal. Inshallah. Thank you.